Okay, so this is recording. I'm not going to bother also recording on Audacity right now because I don't have my external mic and everything hooked up, so it's not going to sound any real better at all.
Yeah,
So it's going to sound like shit this first episode, and that's fine.
I'd say important thing is getting it off, getting it going.
So it is important everybody contribute to the Patreon so we can have a better setup than me haphazardly throwing something together in my mom's office.
Well, I'd say I guess that's the improvement over the living room.
Yeah. Well, it was gonna work because I would totally enjoy having her like jump
Chime
in
in.
because she is very entertaining to watch football with. But I realized I would just like pick up the TV the whole time and then the
Yeah,
NFL might sue us.
about to
And it would
say,
also just sound terrible. So I
yeah,
came in here and now I'm watching the game with one ear, like with one headphone and on my tablet because it's streaming on Peacock.
I don't
An
even know
app
what
that
noise
I
we
pay
got.
for primarily to watch Days of Our Lives.
We contain multitudes.
I do. Like my driver's license might tell you I am in my 30s, but secretly I am your grandma. Anyway, welcome to what we're currently calling Ben and MK's Untitled Sportspod Ballcast. If anyone gives us a better name, we're open to it.
Yes.
So, hi, I'm MK. I'm here with my friend Ben. Say hi, Ben.
Hello.
So how did this start? What are we doing here? We are here to talk about football primarily. We might start talking about other sports if we feel like it. We're here primarily to talk about the NFL, but we'll definitely end up talking about college stuff because, of who we are as people.
Football's football.
Yeah. So, what started this? Where did this come from? Basically what happened is our respective insomnias were kind of lining up there for a while and like so we were just kind of talking late at night a lot and I discovered the NFL YouTube channel posts full games and I was like nothing else is helping me fall asleep, let's try this. I remember football being a very calming presence in my life. I used to fall asleep during football games all the time as a child, and you know what? Damn it if it didn't work. Like I was like, shit, I miss like having football on just on, you know? Like whether it's a game I actually care about or not, I just like I like hearing the whistles and the announcers and just like background noise.
Yeah,
And then
like and
and then I was
our
like, "Oh shit, I think I care about football again."
I was, I was gonna say too, like that was always the thing Sundays at our house. Like it just was on. Like, yeah, my parents were gonna watch the Steelers game, but I mean, football was gonna be on. It was gonna be watched one way or the other.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what, shit, I'm starting to care about football again. And like, even when I did care before, I've never been I've never been one who knew much about like the politics and the bureaucracy of football. And to be honest, I'm not entirely 100% clear on all the rules. I've got the gist of it. Like I can tell who's winning. Like I can tell if somebody's fucking up. But like there's a lot of things I'm constantly going like, all right, what's a sack again? Or like, what does this word mean? So I was like, I want to get back into this. Like, because I have all the heart and the love. I just have none of the knowledge. And I was like, who has the knowledge? Ben has the knowledge. My sports friend. I actually don't have very many of those because uh like going through school, I had the opposite trajectory of nerds, like how like the nerds like secretly like discover that they've secretly been like good at some sport and they get cool. Like I was a jock in middle school and ended my college career as like a theater kid.
Sounds accurate.
um So yeah, I was like, you know what? And let's turn this journey into a podcast because why not?
Isn't that what everyone does now? I mean, like you
Like,
don't have
what are we doing if we aren't monetizing our interests?
exactly.
Donate to the Patreon.
Well, that's it. I think too, like even in the last 20 years, the way football has even went from something I felt like that was extremely popular, but didn't feel so like oppressive, like as far as like the like it just seems like it's seeped more into regular culture and like whereas I feel like 20 years ago, like yeah, a lot of people watch football, but I feel like I mean like it's just the Tony Romo, Jessica Simpson saga was not nearly the same as this. And I know Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey are bigger or whatever, but like it just seems like everything went on steroids as far as the way it just permeates everything like in a different way.
Yeah, and I think that's not exclusive to football either, because everything is more oppressive now because the internet is just everywhere all the time. The internet used to be like a place that you went to. Now we are surrounded by it all the time. We're old.
Yes. Should I make dial-up modem sounds right now?
Just summon our entire generation with one sound.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I was like, let's start this thing. And then after like 2 weeks of trying to get started, we have finally made it today. We had grand plans to start a couple of months ago with some like preseason stuff, and then that didn't happen. We're gonna get better at this, I promise.
And I'll say probably a lot of it's on my end with having two kids, just in the sense of like normally parenting and like trying to carve out time to actually like talk, or do something that can't be paused is very much a thing that's harder
Yeah,
as a parent.
yeah. And my schedule is much more wide open than yours, so it's just whenever you're available, basically.
I'll say it will work. We will just figure out how.
Yeah. Donate to the Patreon so I can have internet at my house again, and that'll make a lot of this a lot easier. uh so before we get into this season, let's talk about like we've talked a little bit about we've talked a little bit about like our histories with football, like any particular teams that you grew up with that you are still particularly fond of. You mentioned the Steelers.
My parents were Steelers fans. I'm a Bears fan. I got a McMahon jersey when I was like 3 or 4, and it just stuck.
Yeah.
Plus, like my cousins are Bears fans, so my parents sent me on a life of suffering purely by getting two popular jerseys at the time. My brother got a Bengals one, but he ended up a Cowboys fan eventually. So he chose a road of less suffering, at least as a child.
Yeah. Uh and growing up where I did, Ben and I know each other from college, so he knows what area I'm talking about. Uh the Washington and Baltimore teams both feel like my hometown team. So like you will never make me choose between the two.
Well, and I think too, you would maybe be more locked in with Washington or one or the other, but I feel like it's too trendy to like become a Baltimore fan, but at the same time, like Washington's one with a history, but they were awful the entire time Snyder owned them.
I mean, yeah, like it has only been in recent years where it's like not embarrassing to say that you're a Washington fan. And it's still hard. Like you still get looks of sympathy.
I'd say it may take some time. Oh, because like things are going better, but like yeah, like it's still not like oh yeah, seasonally I expect Washington to be great or good
Like
even.
I remember as a kid in my youth group, one of the parents, he had this sweatshirt for the Washington Redskins, and it was from like 1991 or something. I can't remember what year it was, and it was whoever the coach at the time was, and it said, "All I want for Christmas is a Super Bowl," and it got funnier every year.
Yes, I can only imagine.
Because like because still didn't get one in all the years he wore this same thing. But so yeah, I'm mainly in terms of pro teams, it's mainly Washington and Baltimore for me. I don't the only team I have any real disdain for is Dallas because growing up loving Washington. Um
Naturally.
and I've sort of accidentally become a Vikings fan because I listen to Norse Code.
See,
And
why do you have to, why we have to pick teams I hate?
well, okay, so I listen to Norse Code, which is hosted by one of the hosts of 60 Minute Drill, which is one of the other avenues that got me into like, I want to do a football podcast because I was already a fan of Ed Zitron. So I started listening to his football podcast. And one of the other hosts, or Reef, hosts a Vikings specific uh thing, and then it's just that podcast listener disease of where like you hear a guy you like on one show, so you have to start following six more shows. um
Yes.
and Arif is very much like a numbers guy, so I'm slowly learning more like technical parts of the game, uh because even if your show is ostensibly about one team, you can't not talk about anything else, you know. So like
Yeah.
that's how I'm just immersing myself into learning things.
Well, I mean, I think that's the way it happens because, like, I I used to blog regularly about the Pacers and all that, but the way that kind of happened was I always was an NBA fan, but I listened to a few podcasts and they would mention it was a Basketball Jones was the name of the podcast, but point being that it went from there to me listening to a bunch of other basketball podcasts because they'd have someone on. It's like, oh, that the next person sounds great. So then I'm listening to six different podcasts, and then I'm writing, basketball at that point. And it's partially just because somebody was on somebody else's podcast or podcast
Yeah.
network, and it's like, this is fine. I want more of this.
And I mostly listen to political podcasts, so like having football ones to fall back on is very helpful right now since the world is on fire
Yes.
in
Well,
more
that's
ways than one.
yes.
So after talking favorite teams, let's talk about some specific players. And it's going to be funny because the specific players I'm about to mention come from none of the teams we've just mentioned, or none of the teams that I follow most closely. Um, I'm a little bit in love with Joe Burrow because every time I see like an interview or something with him, I just know this man is deeply weird. Like that is a weird kid who just happens to be good at football. And I connect with that in some way. And then of course is our hometown hero, my sweet baby Tyson Bagent. Like I love him. And this is not a crush situation. This is entirely maternal. This is my precious football son.
Well, let's say, especially with us being Shepherd folks, like one way or the
Exactly.
other. I would say me being a Bears fan, it's been funny because obviously I want Tyson to do well and all that, but if he's playing, that's a terrible sign for the Bears because they have drafted Caleb Williams #1 last year. So it's a trick for me because it's like I want this guy to get more opportunities, and I'm glad he just signed a pretty solid $10 million contract and all that. But like, it probably is a terrible sign for my team if him as the backup is getting time because that probably means that either Williams is injured or they've given up on him, which means
Yeah.
that the whole QB cycle starts again.
Yeah, and just the other night, because my mom has also taken like a real interest in Tyson because he came from Shepherd, which is like Shepherd is not a school that typically feeds into professionals. Like it's a big deal that he came from Shepherd University in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. No one has heard of this school.
Well, especially
Like he didn't
quarterback.
even come from WVU or Marshall, like one of the two bigger schools.
Well, about saying plus quarterback to me because like Howard Jones got some time in the NFL. We've had a few other guys, Trey Sullivan in recent years.
Yeah, I didn't know about any of those. I'm already
Yeah,
learning.
and like some of them were just like practice squad guys, or like Jones actually had a few good weeks and made some highlight reels and all that. But it feels like those positions, like maybe your athleticism, like Jones, like showed out at the combine with like his strength and stuff. So it kind of made sense that the Steelers and then the Buccaneers and a couple other teams, took a flyer on him. But quarterback is such a position that it feels like, it just felt there's 32 jobs, and we're really only looking at 60, 70 guys that we even think remotely can do the job. So for a guy from a D2 school to slide into a pretty solid position as a backup quarterback, I mean, like that just seems so much less likely than like somebody, at Shepherd just being pretty good or being very good, obviously, at college, but it just feels like there's more chances that way where there's really only 32 quarterbacking jobs when it comes down
Yeah,
to it.
like, it's a really
And
small job market.
and for the most part, those other guys are very expendable,
Mhm.
as backups, and unless for some reason, a team really trusts them.
Speaking of the Vikings, they are not doing great right now.
I mean, Atlanta's getting better. I mean, that's my thing to me is like, it's not like
It's
Atlanta's
also only the
bad.
second quarter.
And plus, I feel like after last week, and I'm a Bears fan, so a little bit biased, but if McCarthy doesn't get some drives going late, which is a great sign for him because to me that's a sign of winning in some way is being a winner, or just having that those intangibles is everything went wrong, but when it comes down to it, you're not letting all that get in your head. And that seemed to be the case last week was everything went terribly and then he, played good football when he had to. But at the same time, I feel like, I mean, it's kind of some of the notes I got for this week is I can't watch something and see something poorly happening and then magically expect because a few things good have happened that, oh, everything's fixed now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not shocked, but it's his second start. You know, it's okay for him to have up and downs at this point in his career.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's normal.
Yeah. I just meant like literally at this moment because I have
Yeah,
the game on over here.
yeah. I'll say I'm looking
Do
up
you have it
too.
on over your head? Is that what you keep looking up at?
Yeah. I'll
Okay,
say
just checking.
I have a little setup in my garage with a little desk area, and
Yeah,
then
you showed me before.
yeah, lucky enough to get a free TV to mount on the wall. That's like, I mean, I'd have no shame like having someone over to watch
Should
on
get a
it.
second TV to put in my office.
Yes, you do. But
When I get internet back on at my house, please give me money.
but yeah, like I think that's the thing too. As I got older, like I'm still a Bears fan, but like if a Marshall guy is on a team, like I cheered for the Eagles in the Super Bowl, not because I like the Eagles, and I guess it was 2017, 2018 or whatever, but it was just like, yeah, I've met Vinnie Curry. Like, of course I want him to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, like just in passing and stuff, like nothing like major or whatever, but like I have some connection to this guy. He went to the school I went to. Of course, and that was the
Mhm.
same thing with like any of the Shepherd guys. Like I wanted to see what Howard Jones was doing or anybody else. And obviously Bajan playing for the Bears just makes it easier for me to keep up with both things.
Yeah. So Ben and I went to Shepherd and then he left and went to Marshall.
No, the other way.
You the other way around? You were at
Yes.
Marshall first?
No, yeah, I'm about to say, yeah. I started at Marshall and then I transferred up there and graduated. But
Oh, okay. For
that was just
some reason I
because
always thought it was the other way around.
oh no, it was just because Marshall was or Huntington and Ona was home, and I just needed some distance. And
Ah,
a couple of my friends were up at Shepherd, so that's why we ended up being friends. Is because some of my other friends had already transferred there.
yeah. And speaking of being deeply weird, we met because we were both in the communications department, which is like
Yeah,
the entire department is in like the basement of one building.
basically.
Even after it got remodeled, it's still just the whole department is one little dungeon. So like we all knew each other. Like everybody was all up in each other's business. Like there were professors that I knew more about their personal lives than a lot of other students from
Didn't need
other
to.
departments. You know what I mean?
Yes. For what
Like
it's worth,
there were a couple professors I would drink with at the bar a couple times a week.
I would say
Small
small
towns,
enough
guys.
school. Yeah, I was gonna say, for what it's worth, Marshall's journalism department was in the basement, bottom floor. Well, at least the bottom floor of the building it was in. So maybe that just says something about communication and journalism
Well, because it
students.
was like, like nursing gets its own whole own building. Computer science and was about like half of a building, I think. Um, Almost every department either had a full building or like half of it. And then
The basement,
Canudi was like English, education, and communications all like shoved together.
and we were in
And
the
then
basement.
like extraneous English classes were over in Whitehall.
Yes.
Yeah. And like it was a big deal for us to like renovate that basement and get two classrooms out of it. It
I
was like
said,
two classrooms, two or three professors' offices, and then there was like a small studio.
yeah.
Yeah. I only used that studio during one summer school class. So anyway, that's how we know each other. But actually, like we knew each other in college, but we didn't like hang out. Like we weren't really friends then. We didn't really become friends till later, just through the magic of Facebook.
Facebook and football.
Basically, yeah, like it was just a slow, like I don't know, like a platonic slow burn basically of like we knew each other and then slowly started talking more and more, and now suddenly you're one of the people that I talk to most.
Well, that's it. I feel like too, especially at Shepherd, like I was a little bit older than most of like my classmates because I transferred. So it was also like just a little bit of like didn't want to be the like slightly older guy, creeping around or whatever. And plus, you're a local up there more than I was. Like I was from across the state, so there's a little bit of like more
Yeah, I lived
built
close
in.
enough, I was a commuter.
Yeah, like I feel like you had a little bit more of the built-in, some of the built-in like knowing people where it was always
Mhm.
just like I might know you if you're in my class, but like my friends up there also ended up being the people I knew from Huntington because it was like, well, it's hard to make friends, so I'll stick with you guys.
Yeah. And because it was such a small department, like even when you don't know somebody, you know them. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Ben Gibson, I know who that guy is. Even though we've never actually spoken. He's the tall redhead. And because like this thing I have been trained on since I was a child is I'm kind of a tall lady. I'm 5'10". So if there is a man in the room who is taller than me, I am aware of it. But anyway, so that's like the history and the lore. I'm sure there will be more lore drops in the future. So let's get to talking about our first 2 weeks of football.
I think the important thing to say is always like at this point in the season, you don't know anything because I mean, it's like looking at a graph with at this point, this week finishes up two data points. Like, is a team really going up or down at this point, or have we played two games and obviously we're seeing some stuff that's maybe going to mean something, but I just feel like, I mean, the Chiefs are 0-2 today. Go after today. Do we believe that they have fallen off completely and are now a terrible team, or did they play two good teams? Not to mention the team that beat them in the Super Bowl, the Eagles today.
Right.
And is that a little bit more likely because this is the first time Mahomes has lost three games in a row in his career. Like, am I supposed to believe a good team is now bad because of some explainable things? But on the same end, like I see Daniel Jones like in the Colts scoring again and again, and he played what 6 seasons with the Giants, and we all knew he was bad. Am I supposed to believe that he's good now? And I would be glad to be wrong. I have very few players that I'm haters with, but like it's just, I mean, it's just sometimes like when you're watching something, it's just like, no, I've been watching this. I've seen this player be bad. Something would have actually had to have changed that doesn't really happen. I mean, 9 times out of 10, especially that after that many years, you don't just magically get better. Like that usually is not what happened. So, I mean, I'm looking at everything so far. It's like maybe I don't know. In the 6 weeks, we could both, be like, yeah, we are completely wrong or we were right about everything. But I don't think there's any certainty to much of what we've seen after 2 weeks, other than like the Eagles are probably still good.
Yeah. So since everyone else who talks about football has talked about this game, the very first game of the season, on the very first play, we get an ejection, like a suspension for the rest of the game, and there's an injury. And that was the oh my god, I just blanked on who was playing. Who was the first game? It was the Vikings in
No, it was Eagles in
it
Dallas,
was
right?
okay. Yeah, it was the Eagles and
Because
and the Cowboys.
Yeah, because Carter spat on Dak. Try to say that
Yes,
5 times
that I
fast.
wanted to talk about Spitgate. Because the first video that everyone saw was the second guy, which was oh god,
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter. Everyone saw him spit at the first guy. And then later there's video where the first guy spits in someone's general direction, like he's just spitting on the ground or whatever, because football players spit all the time.
That was the thing. Was like, well, I mean, I guess it's like you always have preferences like don't spit on people, but like
Yeah.
at the same time, like if Prescott spits at his feet in his general direction, you don't spit on someone, but it's a lot different if someone spits on the original spitter at this point.
Oh yeah. So
uh,
so what happens is the first guy spits and the second guy like took it more personally or something and then kind of spit like not in his face but like on him.
yeah.
And the they made this same joke on 60-minute drill and Norse code, but I was thinking it at the time because nerds all had this same thought. It was fully like the Romeo and Juliet scene of like, do you bite your thumb at me, sir? No, I just bite my thumb generally. And I was like, do you spit at me? No, I spit in your general direction. So that was an amazing beginning to the season to just immediately start with something so silly.
I'm about to say I watched a few old ESPN images of the year videos the other day, and it's like, yeah, I can already picture like whatever at the end of the year that we'll have, a shot of that and the spit flying back and forth.
All right. First Patreon goal is so that we can afford some sort of meeting software that we don't have to stop in the middle of.
Let's say I'll look into some options too because how do you do this without that? Um, I'd say I was thinking too I did when I did the basketball blogging, I did CNN in the Philippines, like for video. They interviewed me for a story once,
Oh yeah.
just as like an analysis or whatever. Because I guess it's weird in the sense of like it's got the CNN like they do the CNN branding, but it's kind of more because of the size of the Philippines, closer to like a local TV,
Oh
like
sure. Yeah.
like I mean in the sense of like just like
In terms of budget and
well yeah, and just in the like that you would have like you could do some stuff like that like and for the like the sports since it was like the biggest story that summer like they're like well we'll get a Pacers guy and basically that was just that was but yeah it made sense because well we got 24 hours to fill and we got a sports hour so let's get somebody on.
yeah.
uh
So we were talking about the first 2 weeks of football. If we had been smart, we would have like made a list of the games in the order they happened.
I'd say we will next week. I just for me it's just like I mean even today it's like the Colts won and well yeah but it was uh I mean it took a penalty. It's just like I said, I guess this is, to me, it's like the results matter right now, but like I can't read anything into it.
Yeah, yeah. There's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, like my general feeling is you panic at week 4. Like I'm seeing things now out of like my Bears that worry me,
Yeah.
but like it's not going to be till week 4 that I'm like, oh yeah, everything's doomed or not. I mean, kind of like I was saying with some of it, it's just I'm more worried with the things that were bad last year, like with the Bears that are still bad, because like, oh well, that was supposed to improve and it didn't. But at the same time, too, like, why do you think everything's magically going to change in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
When it comes down to it.
Yep.
So
So,
I don't think Washington's bad either, but like same thing. It's just too early, and I
yeah.
mean,
Well, I'm slightly worried because what how many days ago was it?
uh,
One of
Thursday,
our big guys got hurt. Um Dietrich Wise.
yeah,
He it was a quad injury. The video, like, it looked worse. Like, it looked like he broke something or something. Like, it looked like a nasty injury, but turned out to be his quad, like, which still sucks, but
yeah.
is just not as bad as it looked when it happened. And it made my mom start telling the story of when Lawrence Taylor took down Joe
Oh,
Theismann and he broke his leg in two places.
yeah. About to say like I have not visually watched that in years, but it still every time like my brain does not. My brain in every way is just like, no, 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 I don't need this. Please don't remind me.
No, and it's just like poor Lawrence Taylor's reaction. Like, he is freaked out that he just did that to someone.
What about to say? Like I think even for most players, no matter how badass and like whatever you are, like considered just like most players, I don't think take joy in injuries. Like I want to break you. I don't actually want to like break things.
It'd be a little concerning if they were like taking too much joy in that.
Yeah, like and I'm sure there's like definitely a few guys where it actually like it's true, but like I just think most people it's like I mean it's way like I watched Canelo and Crawford last night.
Mhm.
You're punching each other for an hour basically, but like on a certain level it's just like yeah, it's a sport, it's business. Like, when we're
I want to
done, we're
hurt you, but
done.
I only want to hurt you in certain ways and to a
Yeah.
certain degree.
Like I want to knock you out, but like within the confines of this sport, I don't want to have to worry. Like I mean, like I said, there's cases where guys are just sadistic or whatever.
Yeah.
But like 9 times out of 10, I think it's just more of this is work, this is business, this is sport. And that's kind of it. It's just like the sport requires me to punch you in the face, but I
Mhm.
have no hard feelings when we're done here tonight. No.
Right.
But
So tell
oh
me
yeah, I
about
was
some
gonna
other games that happened.
they were all terrible, none of them matter because the Bears are terrible. No, uh um it's less of the games and like I said, more back to like I know like the Steelers lost today, and I'm not big on Aaron Rodgers, but at the same time, like I think he's going to be fine this year. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, I mean, Russell Wilson threw for like 300 some yards, and it's like, do I magically believe he's better this year? And the Giants ended up losing, but I don't think that was really because of Wilson. Although there was one pass at the end that he threw an interception on, but if you look at the route, it looks like either somebody thought something else was going to happen, and it was more of a that sort of a mistake than a really stupid one to me. Like
Mhm.
when you force the ball into a small an impossible gap and you throw an interception, I'm just like what are you thinking? Where that just looks like either he threw the wrong pass or the receiver ran the wrong route. Like that's fixable. Whereas I worry more with guys that I mean I know Wilson's on the end of his career, but like when guys just throw bad passes for no good reason, that's when I'm like, yeah, this is never gonna work.
Yeah.
um, but I mean, like I guess this is the thing. I was like, I watched the Bears a little bit today, and that was depressing because yeah, it turns out the Lions aren't awful. They just played Green Bay in week one, who was pretty good, and it was week one. I mean, they put up 52 points, and I don't know if they're going to do that all year because the Bears defense is actually supposed to be pretty good, or at least good. And yeah, it's just I don't think the Lions are going to fall off. I mean, people forget. I mean, getting back to Washington a little bit, like I think what people are going to get frustrated with this year is they made the conference championship game or whatever last year, and um, there's this assumption that everything's going to be just as good again or whatnot. But to me, that's the thing is they probably weren't actually that good last year. Like that, like going back to the conference championship game, good. And people are going to be surprised that a sophomore quarterback is going to make mistakes and all that, and that the team that's the oldest team in the NFL is going to, start to, look a little ragged at times. So I think Washington's fine long term, but I'm not going to be surprised at the high highs and low lows with probably Daniels and the entire team. I mean, I think that's the thing is we read too much into like small things sometimes or even big things because it's easier to feel good about Washington like coming in this year and being great again, or really trying to tell yourself, maybe they overplayed their hand last year in a good way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I mean, same thing with watching a little bit of the Bills today. It's like the defense may be sketchy, but they're winning. They have Josh Allen. They're going to be fine. That's not a surprise from last year going into this year either. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, just to me at this point, it's like I assume the Ravens are so good. I assume the Bills are so good.
Mhm.
Uh, Kansas City needs to lose more for me to believe they actually are bad. It's going to be Philadelphia again in the NFC unless something changes. But maybe if the Lions are healthy, but like, yeah, it's just nothing I've seen much far is going to change my opinion. Other than like the only thing that's changed for me really today was Burrow. Looks like he's going to be out for months with a severe turf toe injury. Um, and we really need a better name for that injury because every time I hear it, it's like that doesn't sound so bad, and then I have to remember, oh yeah, turf toe is terrible.
What is
Uh,
turf toe? Because I don't know this word.
Basically your big toe ligaments, down on your like more on like the interior of your foot have
Mhm.
ripped or torn. So everything you're trying to plant and do on a football field or any sport, it's going to hurt and hurt a lot. And obviously, if you're trying to plant to throw the ball and the tendons in your foot are, torn or ripped, like there's only so much you can do. Like, I mean,
And why
you
is it
can't,
called turf toe? Like, what is the association with turf? Like,
because
is
it's when
playing on turf harder on your toes?
No, just it's. I guess it got more common when they started doing astroturf fields. But basically, it's if your big toe generally gets shoved up, and then like this tears and rips or at least strains and all that.
Mm.
So, yeah, it just because I remember someone said high ankle sprain during the game or whatever, but it's like no, it turned out to be the toe. But yeah, it's just I think we kind of forget sometimes that like, everything you do is on your toes or, and
Yeah.
you can't really isolate that as a player to, you know, and so if you've actually torn it, which I haven't seen like whatever the official, but like one of the suggestions was it could be out months. And it's like, yeah, good luck planning on that to throw a football down the field.
Hmm.
Like we like to lionize guys playing through stuff, but like, yeah, there's just a point where your body can't do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I, that was
And
just
like,
go ahead.
speaking of like injuries and stuff, like the stuff that these guys will put themselves through, like I know a lot of older people at least like to complain about how much these guys are paid. And I'm like, for what they put their bodies through and the fact that their careers don't tend to be super long, like, I don't think it's wild to pay them several million dollars, especially given how much money the league itself generates.
Well, that's it.
If
For me,
anything, I think certain other players should be paid more because, I think it should maybe be a little bit more of a worker zoning the means of production kind of situation.
we're pretty pro union here, I think,
This is a pro union podcast.
and I think it's just a thing where for me it's
Isn't
that
there one team that is owned by the players or are they owned by the
no, no,
fans or
no.
something?
You're thinking the Packers. They're in theory owned by the fans because of stock, but like it's not really stock. Like there's still like there's still someone who runs the team as basically the owner, but it's
Yeah.
not the same as like Jerry Jones or Josh Smith
They
with
don't have a Dan
Washington.
Snyder.
Yeah. Um but I think that's the thing is just to me, it's funny when people complain because I'm like, well, I mean, it's just our fault as fans or just people in general. Like even musicians or something that I don't like is just like, well, if they've got that many fans, that. I mean,
Yeah,
that
like it's kind of a
that says
supply
something
and
about us.
demand
And
thing. Like,
yeah, it's just like I mean, like, I'd rather see relatively regular people. I mean, because to me, that's what most players are. Like, most players are middle class. Like, that's where they came from and all that. It's like, I'd much rather see those people be getting millions of dollars than, like, I don't know, people that I feel like didn't, do something to deserve it or whatever.
yeah, and actually, did you have any more specific games you wanted to mention?
No, I mean,
Okay, because
I
otherwise
watched
this
some.
does kind of lead us into kind of one of the things that I wanted to talk about was how we do plan on having episodes where we do like a deep dive into like some specific aspect of the game or the league or whatever, and team like organization structure is one of the ones that I suggested we do because some of them are kind of wacky.
Yeah. Well, and about to say, and plus, I mean, I think it's the thing too, like, like Green Bay's, a kind of exception to the rule, but like, I mean, it's also the thing too is like, in some ways, all these teams are roughly the same as far as how they're ran or whatever. But it's like if you have idiots running things or people who meddle, Jerry Jones, you're going to have problems. Like, I mean, it's just as simple as that. It's just when you have people coming in, you have bad process, you have all that, you're going to have these problems. Like, there's a reason the Bears have basically been usually not great most of my life.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, if the family running it, we're just there's just so many different ways it can go wrong. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's so hard to make things go right, but at the same time, like, it's funny to me, like, the sense of the ways you can make it go wrong because you're meddling or just not letting people doing their job, or like the whole thing with Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons and why he's in Green Bay now is we know that when it comes down to it, an agent and the team have to negotiate. Like, yeah, apparently Parsons and Jones had said certain things, but I mean, it comes down to Jones just being stubborn and not wanting to either actually he didn't want to pay Parsons or he just was, trying to do the deal's the deal thing. It's like, no, you didn't talk to the agent. The agent's person you actually does this work, you know. Um, and I think it's just the thing to me is this is the way that teams you have a lot of rich people with egos who think they know what they're doing, and I think that's half of why teams go sideways.
Yeah, like and I think there's some parallels that can be drawn to like the entertainment industry at large, like with film and television, and how like the people who have the most power end up making the dumbest decisions because I think there's something about being rich and powerful. Like you get to a certain point and then you are just so out of touch with what the market actually wants.
Well, and I think there's always two things that possibly happen. It's either you are so stubborn and dumb that like you won't listen to people, but then you also can end up with people who don't want to say no to you because you are rich and powerful. Like even if you're not trying to make that happen, because obviously some people just take all their power and abuse it in every way
Like
or
even if they're
whatever.
not actively trying to ruin things, no one's willing to tell them no.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't have something, if you essentially you just don't have it to where people do feel that way, or just you're not, you just get people that want to tell. I mean, I think sometimes too, it's easy to find people to tell you yes when you're the one paying them, or you have the power or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can even be trying to do it the right way, but if you hire someone who's not willing to tell you no, to your face, you can end up with things going wrong because I mean, just to me, like that's a simple thing of, I mean, even if you're running a sheets or whatever, it's like if you don't have people that are going to communicate and tell you what you're wrong about, like you still have to have that structure, chain of command or whatever. At the end of the day, coaches and the owners and whoever above them make the decisions, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to have a situation where people are willing to just be like, no, this is you have to have them willing to talk, and you have to be willing to listen, because if not, I think that's how these things just go stupid.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just or I think the other thing too is sometimes you just get cheap owners. Like Snyder, like never put the money into like things with the facilities, or would like charge players for some stuff that like other teams don't.
And
And go
was
ahead.
he the one that did the kangaroo TV thing? I'm thinking of a 60-minute drill episode where they talk about like ways that
I'm
a
gonna have to
team
go.
owner like nickeled and dimed people, and I think they were talking about Dan Snyder, but
Let's
I'm
say
not sure.
I have to
I'll
check.
leave it in the show notes or something when I go double check.
But I mean, it's stuff like that, and I think that sometimes, like, even though there's a salary cap in the league, and everybody's working under the same amount of money, but if you aren't putting money into your facilities, if you're meddling, if you're just not doing things that like lead, that just naturally you would do at any company to try to like lead to winning or whatever,
Mhm.
it's going to come back and bite you, because if I can sign whatever amount of contract, and the difference is roughly between two teams of the same success, and one of them isn't cheap, well, I'm probably going to go to the one that's got is a better company to work for.
Right.
And like, I mean, that was the thing, is like Josh Harris. I said Josh Smith earlier. But the new Washington owner, he has put more money into all those facilities things. Stop charge. Like notoriously, the Bengals owner has like charged for things that would be considered amenities for other teams, or just not. I mean, it's also. I mean, you get into stuff where like a team, if they're actually cash poor, like when you sign a contract, I believe with the CBA stuff, you actually have to put that money into escrow so that it is there, so that even if, regardless with all the other stuff, like if you said you're a player, pay a player 33 million, that 33 million is sitting in escrow. It's not you can't do it with you can't move money around or whatever. So
Mhm.
like I think that's been the thing with the Bengals, at least at one point, and maybe still is that they're actually, the ownership doesn't have a ton of money, so some of these contracts are harder for them to do and keep competitive, because they don't want to, or don't have the money to do those things. And it's like I said, I'd have to double check, but I mean, I know in the past that's been an issue with some things, and it's stuff like that. If like going to a different sport real quick, the Lakers may have been the Lakers, they may have paid their players well, but there's a bunch of different software and like technology that a lot of basketball team use, and they were one of the last ones to adopt it because it costs money. And whether it's the ownership being cheap, or just not having the actual like cash on hand money,
Mhm.
and I mean that just happens more than you think it does in sports, because not every while these teams are worth so much, if these families that own them, if this is actually essentially how they got all their money, they actually maybe don't have that much money, because it's all tied into the franchise and not like cash sitting in their Scrooge McDuck vault.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, like the ownership and like business structure is one of these like specific thing episodes that we're planning on doing. But we also want to do things like really basic stuff, like what are the rules of football? Like what are some of the terms that you're going to hear all the time? What are all those hand signals that the refs are doing? Because we talked about how one of our goals for this show is to be friendly to people who might not really know much about the game, because one of the hosts doesn't know a whole lot. So like come learn with me.
well, about saying, plus, I mean, I'm still learning a few different things with where they changed the onside rules, and or the kickoff rules, is like, what's the landing area? There was a play with the Steelers today that apparently, yeah, like a young player messed up, but like part of it was the new kickoff rules, and I was confused at what I was watching as well.
Yeah, so like yeah, like there's like the basic rules of football kind of have always stayed the same, but then there's some like really specific ones that change like every year almost.
Yeah.
um so I think Was there anything else that we needed to cover that we like specifically talked about before?
No, I think we did what we wanted to do today. We talked about how we got here, and I mean, I think we've talked about a few things, but it's week two. I feel like you're lying if you're talking with conviction right now. Unless you're someone who really sits down and can analyze the game, and even then, I think a lot of those guys, the ones that I listen to or whatnot, most of them are very willing to be like, it's early. Like, yes, there's things to look for, but you know, um, just simply like it's 2 weeks. Like you could have had luck on your side to a certain extent. It's football. The ball can bounce a certain way on a fumble, and you won two one possession games because of two dumb plays. Like
Yeah.
I just I will speak with much more conviction as this season goes on because I don't know. It's week two.
Oh, speaking of things that we like we're gonna talk about, like we said, we're mostly gonna talk about the NFL, but we are gonna talk about some some college stuff. I had a great day of college football yesterday, which I really needed because I also went through a breakup. So at least my two teams won.
I said,
So West Virginia beat Pitt, even though like it looked for a while like they weren't going to. We made Pitt eat shit, and that made me very happy. And before that, Nebraska absolutely creamed whoever they were playing. I forgot already, but it was like 60 or 70 something. Like it was a ridiculous score.
uh, I was actually surprised of you one in the sense of I went to play poker with some friends last night, and my back was to the TV, and I'm not a WU fan, so I mean, like, just I mean, I'm a hater of them, but it's just like I'm not watching. I'm looking away from the TV, so I'm just not paying attention. And they were down whatever, two scores or whatever. And then when I checked the score on my phone later and looked behind me, it's like, huh? They won?
Yeah, it was like I was getting ready to like pack it up and just like turn something else on. I was like, well, they've fucked this. Like this is
Yeah.
over. We're cooked. And then
Well,
and then they won.
I'd say I was at a poker game, so I wasn't paying full attention. But it's like time and score was like, yeah, they're probably over. And then, like I said, when I saw the final result, I was like, how'd that happen? And apparently, it was happening behind me the whole time. But
Yeah, because like there is a friendly rivalry on this podcast as I am a WVU fan and Ben likes the other one,
go
Florida
herd.
State.
But at least we have Shepherd. But then again, they lost yesterday, so
Yeah.
um,
I forgot that you can like watch their games without actually being there.
well, I mean, like we're not that old, but at the same time, I was talking to somebody. Oh yeah, I was just talking last night at the poker game. It's like even when we were when we were at Shepherd, like games weren't regularly streaming. Like even like the teams doing them. Like even if it was on like CBS Sports or something, like sometimes it was still difficult to like find the stream or like if it was actually online. Whereas now, like every high school team, like I wouldn't be surprised if little league teams are broadcasting, regularly
Yeah.
on there.
No, my sister like actually I found out she regularly watches her friends' kids like baseball games streaming.
Yeah.
Like so like little kids club teams are streaming because the internet is just in everyone's pocket.
Yeah, like I mean, I think it's great, but it's just like even for me, it's just like, oh yeah, every high school game's online now. Like I mean,
Yeah.
like when I started working out in Carlsbad, however many years ago it is now, like 12 plus or whatever. Like it was novel that the high school was broadcasting their games online, but like yeah, now like I'd be very surprised if the high school isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I have to remind myself, oh yeah, I can just click and watch Shepherd every Saturday if I feel like it.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, I'll say, I mean, I expect to watch certain teams online, but yeah, like it's still mentally for me is like, oh yeah, I can just pull this up if I remember it's on.
Yeah, and like touching back on you talking about how like it's almost kind of oppressive. It's like, well, football is on what, like 4 nights a week?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got, I mean, really, it's Sunday, Monday. Well, it's basically on every night in the sense of, well, maybe not really Tuesday, Wednesday, but like,
It's pretty much,
yeah.
isn't it pretty much every day but Tuesday and Wednesday? Because
Well,
like,
I'm saying I'd have to check. Max may be still playing on Wednesday nights and all that, but yeah, like there's essentially a college game on half the weeknights, and then high school, college, and pro all weekend. And
yeah.
yeah, like that's the thing too, is like it used to be novel to like watch your team or whatever, and now it's just
Mhm.
like, oh, I could pull it up on my phone. I mean,
And now it was like, oh God, there's 3 football games on today. I'm only watching one of them. I can't.
well, let's say, I mean, for better or for worse, I had the Shepherd game on my phone at the poker game. Like I had it sitting on the table watching it while I was, checking my cards and all that.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's what this show is. We're gonna get better at this.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
I mean,
And like, we'll come in with like we'll have like segments and like outlines where we've prepared things to talk about instead of telling each other over and over again that we have prepared things and then not actually having prepared something.
well, I feel like too, honestly, mentally, after by getting one episode in the can, like it'll be like,
Mhm.
oh, we're doing this now. Where
Yeah. Yeah, the
before it's
first one
just
is
like,
always the hardest.
yeah. Well, I'm about saying I cover a lot of events and stuff at my job, and it's like, yeah, the first year everything goes wrong, or just you make mistakes. Whereas, yeah, by the third or fourth year, if you keep doing stuff, or or an event, or even whatever the time of the event is, but like, yeah, the first one things go wrong. That's what the first one's for.
Yeah. So, place your faith in us and throw us a couple dollars and help us get better at this.
Or at least if we get better, think about like one way or the other. Or we could do this. We could also have a separate fund. You can get us to go away if you give us enough money.
Yeah, yeah. Give us enough money. I'll stop podcasting forever. That's not true. I actually really enjoy doing it, but
I'll,
I'll do
I'll say,
something different.
well, let's say, I mean, that's honestly like why I wanted to do this because it's generally fun to talk about it, and I mean, in a good way. If this goes anywhere, great. If not, oh hey, I'm talking football with my friend
Yeah, yeah,
every
no, like
week.
yeah,
Like,
it's so difficult for me to like hang out with a friend.
well, and plus, like, to me, as someone who's like worked in media, like, and seen like, different versions of blogging and all that, if you think too much about what it could be, or just you're worried about, if you aren't doing it because you actually enjoy like talking about it, like, even though you got to structure it and like make it be a little bit more like presentable or whatever,
Mhm.
because it's a podcast or whatever, like, yeah, it's not going to work. Whereas if you just kind of enjoy it and like, yeah, I always think it's better to be, we're going to talk about something and we'll figure out how to make it where other people will want to listen, you know?
Yes. All right. So that I think that does it. Halftime is wrapping up for this Atlanta Minnesota game.
Wait, how far is your stream behind? I'm like 740 in the second half in the third quarter.
Well, it keeps cutting out, I guess.
No, I'll say,
Like I mean, by wrapping up, I mean they have gotten back to the game now.
okay, okay. I'll say it's like, I'm much further along than you.
Oh, I'm sure I'm a few minutes behind. Anyway, that does it for our first episode. I'm gonna start editing this.
We got one in the can. We'll do this again next week,
All
and we'll
right.
have some notes.
All right. I will talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.
Good seeing you.
See ya.